Kel with the Monson Schoolhouse, and we just finished up our school day. The sun is actually shining here in the Pacific Northwest. My kids are outside, so I thought I would just quickly jump on and try to do a video. So today I thought I would take you guys through our schedule. And this is just going to be good for me too, to be able to refer back to on what we did. So I am a super scheduled homeschool mom. My style with homeschooling is structured. That's why we have a schoolroom, is because I love to stand up and teach and do interactive lessons, and that's more my style. So while this schedule might not be for you and it might not work for your family, it totally has worked for us, and it literally has made our homeschool transition from public school into homeschool. It's made it so smooth and just almost effortless. And I think that's the key with finding a schedule for your family when you're going from like a public school setting or a private school setting or something like that, and you're bringing your kids back home. I think the key is to find something that works for you and your family. And for us, schedule really works. So let me take you through our average day. So I usually try, and this usually happens about 2 to 3 times a week. So more often than not, I will get up at 5:45 in the morning. I will hit the gym and work out. Now, honestly, this doesn't happen every morning, but on the days I'm able to work out, my day is a lot more productive, and I have a lot more energy. So I try to do that. I wake the kids up or they wake themselves up around 7 a.m. Then we have breakfast from 7 a.m. to about 8 a.m. We're doing breakfast and cleaning up and all that. I tell them that their rooms need to be cleaned, their clothes need to be put away, their beds need to be made, they need to brush their teeth, they need to be dressed, they need to be ready to learn by 8:30. Now, I am kind of more flexible with the actual time. It's more the flow of the day. So if they're ready by 8 and we start school at 8, that's great. If we start school at 9, that's fine too. However, that doesn't happen very often. We usually are starting school at 8:30. So we meet in the family room. We have our scripture, like opening prayer, opening song, and that's when we do our Old Testament study. Now, this is where I let go of the clock and I just let the day flow. I know the order of the day and I know about the time we do things, but I really think it's so important to let the children kind of guide the time. For instance, some days we do scripture and we're done in 30 minutes, and then we move on. However, some days we really get into scripture and I don't want to cut them short. We're on a roll. I want to keep going with that. And so some days scripture is an hour, and that's fine. So after scripture, we come back into the schoolroom and we have word of the day. And I put that on our board right up there in the corner. So we do word of the day, and that's super fun. It's just lightens things up and kind of gets us energy-wise ready for the day and ready to learn. That usually takes, 15 minutes, but sometimes we really get into a discussion about a word, and it could take 30 minutes. So after word of the day, sometimes we'll journal. Like on a Monday, I might have them write in their journal about the weekend. So that, again, is all of us in the classroom, and they journal. 30 minutes to 45 minutes of us in regrouping in the classroom before we break off into our individual schedules. Okay, so here's the schedules that I made. I laminated everything and I made these little stickies of all the separate subjects, and they each have their own schedule. And I spent so much time on these, making sure that while Connor was on the computer typing, Asher was going to be doing math, and Mackenzie would be doing English, and I could work with her. So it took me a while to figure this out. and just kind of get it sorted out. So each child has somewhere to be, and I am freed up for the child that needs me to teach them. Now, this is where I think it gets really fun, and where I feel like, okay, the day's on a roll. So one of the twins will be typing, the other will be starting their spelling, and then my daughter will be in the corner and needing help with her English, and I'll give her an English lesson while the twin boys are on task. Then they'll switch from the computer typing to the math or whatever. They'll switch, and I can still have time with my daughter teaching. So this is where it just kind of, some days it totally flows. Some days the kids like understand everything and I just kind of here observing and manning things. Other days it's like, mom, 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 and no one's understanding everything, and I am like going in a circle helping everyone, which I think is fun too, because that's what homeschool is about, interacting with your kids. So that usually takes us till about 10:30, and then everyone starts to get hungry and needing a break. So around 10:30, they eat a snack. We gather, and it's just quick. Grab a granola bar, and then I let them go outside for recess. Then we come back, usually around 10:45-ish. Again, I'm not big on time. I'm just like, whatever, let's just come back and roll with it. And then I will do the English lesson with the boys. I love this part of the day. They love this part of the day. And my daughter, she usually grabs the computer and she sometimes heads to her room to do her math lesson. She does it on the computer, which has been a lifesaver and like such a dream. We've really, really, really loved it. I'll have to go over our math program later. So at this point, I'm teaching the boys English. We go over their English lesson and it's fun. And again, my teaching style is more, I love teaching. I didn't homeschool because I hated classrooms. I actually don't mind the classroom setting, and I think it's fun, and I grew up in a ballet studio. So that's just kind of my style. But again, you can teach your kids anywhere. We've gone to the library some days, and when it gets warm, I think we'll be outside a lot more on the grass. Or maybe even on the trampoline, having an English lesson. So at that point, after the English lesson, sometimes we go over cursive. They do cursive every day. I love going over technique and doing kind of a quick letter, and I'll give them a little cursive lesson too. And then it's usually time for lunch. And so at lunchtime, I really, really, really try to have everyone done with all of their core subjects: English, math, cursive, spelling, vocab word, and usually like a reading assignment or whatever I had in their little drawer, their little work box over here. My goal is at lunch, I always ask them, do you have all your work done? And, usually they do. Sometimes they don't. And that's when I say, well, that's just going to have to be something you're going to do after school hours, because we can't wait for them all day because we do have a group activity. So we eat lunch usually around 12 to 12:30, and then we have recess, 1 to 1:30, where we all meet back in the schoolroom. And this is when we do our group work. And these are the subjects that I do group work. Science, we're studying human anatomy right now. Geography, we are doing the United States. Music and art, we're studying a composer. We're studying Bach right now. Every month we do a different composer and a different time period of music. And the group activity usually lasts about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on if we have an experiment, an art project, if we just get interested in something. These 4 things are on a loop schedule, and we just rotate on a loop schedule. So that was our daily schedule. Now we have a weekly schedule. Our core subjects and really hit it hard 4 days out of the week. On Friday, it's more of do our spelling tests for scripture, we memorize an article of faith or a scripture. And we do like math bingo and a field trip sometime, or we do an art activity, or we catch up on the things that we weren't able to get during the week. So Friday is really awesome because I feel like it's this extra gift, this little day where if I don't get what I wanted to get done during the week, it can spill over into Friday. Or if something fun comes up, like a field trip or, an art exhibit's in town, we can just go that day and not feel like we're behind. So Friday is kind of our extra day where we can move things around, and so that's our weekly schedule. Now our yearly schedule, again, this is my first year homeschooling, so I'm still learning, but I have found that I love to do like unit studies or semester studies, and at least right now, while my kids are more in a grade school level, I just don't see it possible or productive to do all 6 subjects in one day, every day, all the time. I really love diving deep into some subjects and enjoying them. So for that reason, I've decided in the fall is going to be more of our history units. And then in the winter, spring is our science units. We're able to take more time on it and really learn it and enjoy. And we're not having to balance too many subjects at once. And I feel like that would be so overwhelming for not only the kids. I don't think my children would get much out of that, but I think it'd be overwhelming for me too. However, with that said, that's probably going to be changing as my kids get older. I'm sure when they're in high school, they're going to have to be doing science and history all at the same time in the same day. So we will figure that out at a later time. But for now, that yearly schedule is working for us. Also, on our yearly schedule, we decided to not take some days off where the public schools were off, and just push through and really hit it hard. For instance, it snowed here. There was a massive snow blizzard and the public schools were canceled for like 10 days. Like there was like 2 weeks where kids didn't go to school. This is when I loved homeschooling because I was able to keep a schedule with my kids. We were able to get work done. I didn't feel like those 2 weeks were wasted. In fact, I felt like those were the best 2 weeks we ever had. It was so much fun to play in the snow and do English and then go play in the snow and do math. So that has been great. And because we didn't take that time off, there was no reason for us to, we are going to be done with our school probably like middle of May or end of May. We're going to be like done with our workbooks and done with our year. So another awesome thing with our schedule is, and that I've learned about homeschooling, why it rocks, is because my husband, he's in commercial construction and he is on these projects and he's in the tail end of his project right now. So he's not able to take any time off. So spring break is actually next week for the public schools, but me and my kids, I talked to them and we took a vote and we all decided that we would do school during that time. So we are not taking spring break when everyone else is. In April, my husband will be hopefully done with his project and we can take a spring break with my husband, with their dad. Positive 5 million of homeschool. Sorry guys, I'm kind of sold on this homeschool thing. I have just had, I think because I put so much effort into scheduling and I planned it out so much and I have really loved homeschooling. I never thought I would say that. In fact, there's some days where I'm homeschooling and I'm like, am I really doing this? Like, is this really my life? Because I never planned for it. I never thought. But that just goes to show that God knows better than we do. And he knew, like, God led us to this decision and has led me into how to schedule my day and has given me insights and inspiration on how to teach my kids, and it's great. Like I'm really having a positive experience, and the transition has actually been super easy and super good on our family. Anyway, that's our schedule. If you have any questions, I'm sure I missed stuff. Please let me know. And other than that, we tweak it here and there. There's sometimes when my boys want to do math together and other times where they don't. And I think I'm going to do another video on just how to teach twins, or how it's worked for me to teach my twins, because they don't always want to do everything together. So anyway, thanks for watching, and let me know what kind of things you're interested in seeing, and I'll just post when I can. Have a good one.